Hey my friends, welcome to I Am a Movie channel. Do not forget to subscribe if you like the video, and let us start with Liliko, the most beautiful and most popular and model of advertisements, and the most girl. Everyone wishes to remain in half of her beauty. Even if Liliko continues to perform dozens of plastic surgeries to reach the stage of beauty that she is in now and know how to use her appearance well, as soon as her pipe is attached to the product or on the cover of a magazine, all her issues are followed because everyone follows her news and likes to read about her and more. Except that she is a talented girl in exploiting everything around her, and at the same time there will be a plaintiff, uncle, whose name is Praise, and with his help are present in his office and they investigate. A specific case is the corruption of cosmetic materials that causes cancer and disfigurement of the skin, and it happens to many girls. And he says that always any charming body is caused by plastic surgeries that degrade the body, the fluid beauty and immediate collapse. This clinic is Balzot, and they look like this plastic surgery, like the beautiful fruit that the insects ate from the inside, but it is still not visible from the outside that it is very beautiful. And among the clients of Al-I, this is Lilac, and Liliko will be the first in her new movie, and she is present in a special conference for this film, and all photographers and journalists are interested in asking her and photographing her. Another day, you find that this obelisk is with him on the cover of a magazine, and you are suffocating with all of her team that she is throwing 100 in order to help her because she is not falling. She will be extremely arrogant and spend her evening with the producer of the film to ensure that he shows her more scenes of her. Then she speaks to her mother, who encourages her to do everything she does and tells her that she did what she told her, and the producer is still not working with her at once and guarantees her a solo tournament for her. Most of the time at night is work, Sunni, or night out, but the next day, after she comes back from outside and stands in front of the mirror, she realizes that there is a spot on her head that is tropic with her hair, and the first time she sees her, a shock comes to her, because this is something that will diminish her beauty and she will never allow that, and she will leave immediately. She and her mother are at the clinic where they do plastic surgery because the doctor treats her what happened in her face. So the doctor reassures her that the matter is simple and she can treat her, and she goes with the nurse to do a few tests for her, and then at night, she hears one voice screaming solidly, so she looks at her from afar and says that she must meet the doctor immediately in any way. Her appearance is terrifying, and the condition of her deformities is so advanced that she almost controls her entire body. The nurse runs to the doctor and tells her that there is a patient under what she pushed and she wants to see her, but the doctor refuses because the condition that she does not have money does not deserve to be treated, and remains beautiful and continues her words with your father, Lilac, and you tell her that she will give her a strong injection to treat Lilac and quickly, and the investigation of Praise is still ongoing, and an investigation is being conducted into the death of a girl who is 23 years old, who was a client at the suspicious beauty clinic and committed suicide. Her entire body is deformed, and the deformities are due to the fact that the clinic uses the organs, skin, bones and muscles that they bring illegally, and they use them in the plastic surgery so that the result remains better. But after the operations, the workers must complete certain medicines that are expensive, and those who cannot afford them at that time, the sidewalls of cosmetic operations begin to bloom, and they are as for the distortions that are happening. As for the treatment of the simple problem that appeared to her, she forgot the topic and returned to the strongest field. The advertisements and their images were present on all the magazines in the market, but it has been 7 decades since new advertisements, TV series and various programs, and its fame remains global and reaches America and wins in any vote positive. You will be in it and you will remain the girl of all people's dreams, and after a tiring day of work, you will drive her home. You would prefer to talk to her about her fame, and she will be your base in front of the mirror. She realizes that there is a new spot on her cheek, so she says to herself that if she is not beautiful, she will not be famous and no one will know her after that, nor will he approach her. Don't lose this privilege and cry while she is talking, because she finds that the spot has grown very much in her face and says that she must always prefer beautiful because no one forgets her father. She is using the injections that the doctor gave her to keep her taking it when necessary. And the next day, there was an answer from her sister saying that she wanted to see her, and she tried to get her number or address from her boss's office, but he refused his hands to her and she succeeded in taking it from his notebook without him seeing her. That is why I estimated that she followed this answer to her, and I hope to see her as soon as possible, so she can talk to her for help. in order to prepare for an interview with her sister, and it becomes clear that there is a big difference between them, and after the night she greets her sister, she tells her that she should lose weight and take care of her body more, and that she gives her more money so that she can be more beautiful, because beauty is what makes her very strong and she can control her fate and who around her, as well as she is not doing and obeying her. She is doing another plastic surgery because these spots appear to disappear completely, and she does not care how difficult the operation is. The important thing is that her beauty continues, and despite the pain that she feels during the operation she is undergoing, but she endures it against her will because she breathes what is in her brain. In the whole world, too, and the process continues until it ends successfully and returns from the next night to her job after she fully recovers, and he will be praised for still following her news, and he decides that he must meet her on the day of a personal interview so that they can talk a little together, and Lilico's mother remains. She answers it with lilac and in her new advertisement to ensure that Lilico is not better than her, and as long as Kuzu is under her eyes, there is no danger from her, but Kuzu's fame begins to really increase because of her beauty, to the point that she is alone and covering areas of her own. For her mother, she is the reason for her fame, because she was the one who brought her to her place when she was on vacation because of the operation that she did, and she brought one of them to destroy her, and she looks to run from them on the roof of the building, so they are afraid for her to be intending she commits suicide, and they run after him in order to guide her a little, until she falls to the ground and prefers to cry, and they can take her down from the roof of the building, and Asna is not a base in her house. To her that he engaged her because her name is not more and that he still loves her very much. So much so that he offers her to stay in the same hotel where he is spending his honeymoon, to meet her and leave his wife. And then the railroad is closed in the face and she decides to take revenge on him. And it is estimated that she is exploiting Huda and her lover and is tempting them with money. And she makes her lover throw acid on the face of a politician's girl, because the next day the topic spreads in the newspapers, and then you find her lover. He calls her because he wants to meet her again, and it is a plan for your night, and she succeeded in getting her lover back, and she continues her life as normal until he decides to meet her and take her to the place of filming to talk to her and tell her the clinic that she is dealing with has many suspicions, and she wants to confess in court against the clinic, and she has a file of all the misfortunes that the clinic has done, and he tells her to put her mind away from herself because Hadissa is a politician who has not been closed, and there was a black Arab standing in the place of the accident, and this Arab is in her name, and the one who was riding her Huda and her lover, leave her and walk, and the first time she comes back one night in her word, she opens the file and sees all the negative families related to plastic surgery on the girls whose photos are in the file and collapses when she sees it because she sees her future. It may be a factor from her birthday cake, and she is terrified of them, and no one understands the reason for her fear, because she is the only one who sees butterflies and throws the cake on the ground and finds everything a person moves around her, and all of this will be a famous video, until she faints and falls on the ground and wakes up. She finds herself in her house and next to her is interested in her, and she cannot control her nerves. She prefers crying and screaming that people will forget her, or she stays alone and prefers to hit her in anger for no reason and leave her and go down the street and fall. She is walking, so she sits on the sidewalk and sees fantasies in front of her that make her life look more and more in the mirror in front of her, and she realizes that her hair is starting to fall out too. All the press is in front of her door, wanting to work with her for a meeting and to know the fact that she performed dozens of plastic surgeries on her entire body from a suspicious clinic, and all of her pictures are very deceitful days. However, the clinic heard it bad because it uses live parts for operations. Lilac's condition worsens and gets worse to the point that the deformities dictate her entire body and she remains alone in her apartment. No one cares about her after she was hit by this air and expelled from the apartment. The land without anyone helping it, and the public prosecutor praised the problem of leaking sensitive information from the case file, which he is holding, and he faces a suspension from serving the period until his investigation, because the case turned into a public opinion case because everyone knew the truth of the clinic and the famous obelisk, and he remained in the media against them to know the rest of the details. And after, as the time passes, Layla is in the studio alone with her mother, and she has significant distortions on her body, but it becomes clear to her that she is resigned to what is happening to her, knowing that everything she tried to adopt has collapsed, and she is still preparing for a press conference to admit it. All the deformities in her body, and then she walks in the first theater, and she thinks what the fans were chanting for her greatly, and currently she is alone and there is no one beside her because she has lost her beauty and fame also, And she comes at the time of the conference, and she will be standing in front of the largest number of journalists and media professionals to confess to them a statement and stand in front of everyone, and she was silent and kept holding a knife in her hand and stabbed herself in the eye in front of them while they were photographing her, and because of what Lilico did, the fans were split in half. A victim of what happened, and they preferred to love her and admire her as they are, and perhaps even more, because they saw her as a matter of courage and endurance, and the second text saw her as a fraud, and everything in it was fake, and the case against the clinic is still ongoing after the flower of 561 cases. They accepted to file against the clinic because of what you did to them. This is other than that there were 9 cases of suicide who were clients of the same clinic as well. It is clear that the clinic is finally nearing its end, and Kozu has taken Lilac's place in her advertisements, and she is the one who is famous, but not as famous as Lily. Far away, and then she disappears, so Kozu goes to her and enters a private room, and you find one who is standing in front of her on the chair, and the first time you get close to her, you find her for a night and she wears something on her injured eyes. She used to know Kozu, but that she is still alive and is still able to return to her famous position as long as it was.